there, thanks for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 11 of We're Just Talking About It. We're back this week with Khalil as he picks up where he left off from Episode 10, talking about what it was like when the Taliban arrived in Kabul, his interactions with them, and how he survived the violence and even being put in a Taliban prison. We hope you enjoy this episode.
We did not know who were Taliban. Still, it's a mystery. I mean, especially this Mullah Omar, their leader, is just another dilemma, and he's enigmatic figure. And at least I was there throughout the Taliban time, but I don't remember that there was a single person who had seen Mullah Omar physically.
Yeah.
And that was really a puzzle because nobody had seen him. Well, still, I don't know if he was a real person or not. But anyways, he was there somewhere. And then, as we all know that, that was also another sort of external project kind of imposed on Afghanistan.
Yeah,
and what went wrong.
Definitely pulled back the curtain and seen Pakistan's role in all of that. How did life change for you with the Taliban in charge?
Or I guess for me, my first question is, when do you realize they're not there as saviors? When did that aha moment be like, well, they're not gonna make things better?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, it all started. People realized that the morning that they entered the Kabul city, because they started with the execution of former President Najibullah, right in one of the Kabul very popular intersections. It's called Ariana intersections, and I'm sure that the Major Hawk has been there before.
Yeah, right in front of the Ariana Hotel there.
Exactly, yeah. So he was executed there, and we all went there to see that, what did they do? And they were just hanged, and his body was already, kind of mutilated, and it wasn't a very good scene anyways. So they started with that and kind of, promoting fear and terror from the get-go. And after that, when we came back home, we were all told to come to the local mosque, get together, because now your local Taliban leader wants to talk to you guys and meet you. So when we went there was a young Taliban fighter, and they did the prayer, and after that he said, nobody's leaving the mosque, just close all the doors. And then he said that we need soldiers.
Oh my.
We want all. Yeah, we want all of your able men to join us, because our cause is not ending here. We are envisioning to conquer Central Asia, and then inshallah, we will conquer Moscow. Wow. I remember he literally said that.
Wow.
And for us, it was now the time, imagine we were in that mosque and we were surrounded by all these armed men. And we were like, how can I get the hell out of here?
So you weren't buying it for a second. You didn't want to buy in at all.
That's right, yeah. Oh my God, when I remember those days, those were really tough days. So anyways, the young men started, rushing to the door, and everybody just fled in the blink of an eye. And we went back home, and that night they started searching, some parts of the city, and they were looking for the people that they thought actually kind of cooperated with, President Rabbani and his government. And then they were also looking for people who were not from who actually belonged to certain provinces. One thing that is obvious is, unfortunately, Afghanistan has long been divided along these ethnic lines.
Yeah.
And then the Taliban, their agenda was a sort of harsh, ideological Islamic, radical Islamic agenda that was also mixed with these ethnic tendencies. So then they were looking for people who usually did not belong to the Pashtun tribe. And then, so that's why people just, were living in horror, and they were waiting for their time that somebody will come and put them in the jail or take them. And they were start questioning people that, where did you hide your weapon? Give it to me. And things like that, that weren't true. So anyways, and after that, worst of all, was there, I'm sure you've heard of that, the beard patrol.
Yeah, they go around
you've heard?
Checking beard lengths.
Yeah. Well, actually, the organization that was in charge of doing this, that kind of reminds me of the Inquisitions in Europe. They would call it, if I literally translate that, it was the inhibition from vice.
Yes. Vice and morality, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Vice and morality. So they had their own policies, and then they had their own even measures for the men beard. It should be at least one fistful. And then they had, funny thing is that, you guys might have seen this hurricane lantern, right? And they would use the hurricane lantern glass to measure your beard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there are other worse stories about that. So, in one of those occasions, their beard patrol was patrolling the city. And I was a medical student back then. And I was on my way home. And unfortunately, they stopped the vehicle that I was in. And then they took me to their, whomever was the patrol leader. And he said that, no, he doesn't have a long enough beard, and put him in our jail. So I spent 7 days in their jail. And what I see there, it can be like, if I write about it, it will be a book, because it was just, unimaginable what we went through in that jail. And it wasn't only these people that were actually their charges were like, having a short beard. There were people that their charges were like, was not able to recite, verses of Quran. And there were people who actually were mentally, incapacitated, and they put them there also. And there were all these addicts, and they brought them and then collect them and put them in that jail. So we were all together in one. It was like a huge
big cells, right?
Yeah, it was in the Kabul city, and they put all us together there. And I spent a week, and every day there was this, we were forced to go and do the prayer. That before the prayer you have to do some, get prepared for that, take ablution, or if required, you need to take a shower. But nobody would care about that. You just come and kick you right, in the bottom, and say that go ahead and do your prayer right now. And so that kind of things that, it wasn't stated anywhere, whatever we learned about the Quran, about Islam, and, all those teachings.
I think that's one of the things that is so sadly ironic about the Taliban. It doesn't take long to realize they don't know anything about Islam or the Quran. I mean, they just are programmed to be, violent and to get their way, but they don't understand anything about what they're claiming to believe in.
Yeah. And the same way, women were not allowed to get out of the house without a, male companion or escort. And then if they were, for some reason, they say that if this is a matter of life and death, then a woman can get out of the house. But make sure that there is a male escort. And then they would go to the hospital, and in the hospital, male doctors were not allowed to see female patients. and then another problem was that they didn't let girls go to school or go to the medical school to become doctors. So then there was just the option of being seen by a male physician, and then these male physicians would do whatever was in their power to kind of do that in a sort of clandestine manner,
sure.
so to speak. Yeah, so that the Taliban don't know what happened and who saw this patient. So they were everywhere. I mean that they could they do surprise visits everywhere. So people were in constant fear living those years, and it was just unbearable.
You talked previously about how you go to sleep one day and the world is one way, and then you wake up the next day and it's completely different. What happened to you after spending a week in jail? Did something change in you? Did you come out a different person? Was that a very influential moment in your life?
Well, actually, it was not just that experience that actually changed my mind about their behavior, how they interact with the people, and there were other instances. They could be everywhere, and we were encountered with them before, and they would hit us with a those kind of rubber thing that they call it shalak, which means lash, or whip. They would hit us right on the head with that, and so things like that. And the city was also, it sounded like a crazy time, because you see all these power lines on the city, and at least in each and every popular intersection, you would see that there is a hand or a feet hanging from those lines.
Wow.
And also, they even, they didn't like people to watch videos, and it was prohibited back then, or listen to music. And you see that all these radio cassettes or video cassettes, and they would bring this tape out and also hang it on a tree. So you could see these things, and we were already we already knew what's happening. But when I got in there, and actually that was my first-hand experience, being in a Taliban jail and kind of being exposed to them. But because they thought I was a doctor, I was a medical student, they kind of gave us some sort of privilege. Every now and then somebody would come to me that I am sick and write a prescription for me. Those soldiers that were actually supposed to be our prisoners, and then they would come to me and ask, and kind of seek a medical opinion on something, things like that. We were kind of given a little bit of privilege, but we were still not excluded from all these policies that they had. But that really changed my understanding of how they want to govern, and what is in their mind, and what they want to do. That was that experience, actually, that was like a climax moment of or the culmination moment of all my experiences in those years.
So were you thinking, like, we need to leave, I need to get out of here, how do I get out of this situation, or what was your thought process?
Actually, we all thought about this. They were nice that we get together. Some of the boys that were in jail with me, we have like-minded people, and we could get together and talk about this situation, how we can help. As a matter of fact, when I got out of that jail and I went to the university, I already knew that there were little resistance cells all over the university and among the students. So I actually tried to find a connection with them.
Yeah.
And then we had these kind of secret meetings and the dormitory, and we would go there in one room and we get together and we say that what we can do, how we can actually do our part and then fighting these people. And then, so there was not much what we could do back then. So we would go over, all over the university and then connect with the students. It was also, it took courage to go ahead and start that conversation with the people that you don't know.
Sure.
And their agents were all over the place. They were, kind of disguised themselves as the students, and they would approach you and ask you something about that, what's your opinion about this, and then that was the end of it. So anyways, we would do that. We continue doing this up until the 2001 what happened, and after the events after that.
So y'all had already thought about what you would do to fight the Taliban, and then September 11th happens. By October, America has wandered into Afghanistan to hunt them down. What did that mean for you folks that already realized what the Taliban were?
Well, I mean, that was the moment of truth. That was the thing, the moment that we were waiting so impatiently to happen. And that was the realization of our dreams, that moment. So every time I think about this, I think that back then, especially that moment, the American troops were considered real saviors.
That is where we will wrap it up with Khalil for this week, but stay tuned. We have one more episode coming up with him where he talks about the night the U.S. troops entered Afghanistan and what it meant to him and his fellow Afghans. As always, thanks for listening. You can find us on social media at We're Just Talking About It, and you can email us at wjtanc@gmail.com.